Hello, my name is Consuelo, compensation analyst, recently hired with your company. Today we're going to talk about the new pay structure development for non-exempt employees or hourly employees. I do want to thank the executive team for having me today. In our presentation, we will cover company issues, new pay structure, develop a lead market by 5% for non-exempt employees, provide recommendations, and offer a summary. Currently, the company is growing at a rate of 15% each year over the past 5 years. And the company wants to continue its success rate. They currently use a pay policy that pays new employees based on their employees' previous salary history. And inflation pay increase is not always promised. It depends on whether or not the company can afford it. And the company would like to change that ad hoc approach. So they would like to build a new compensation so they can attract experienced employees, offer pay equity so they can lead the market by 5% hourly pay. Some of the data that was provided to me was a salary survey with 7 companies a year old. Next goes roster, which lists the job titles and the number of incumbents that are associated with those jobs, and job descriptions. So before we get started with developing a pay structure, we need to do a job analysis. So the first thing we'll do is identify benchmark jobs. I have identified 9. They have to meet the criteria. So number 1, the jobs have to be held by several people. Number 2, the jobs have to be identified at other companies. And number 3, the jobs have to ensure its longevity. Once the benchmark jobs are selected, they will go through a process of being evaluated and provided with a ranking point system based on knowledge and skills, efforts, responsibility, and working conditions. And then you can set your pay rate. We already know you want to pay 5% above the market line average pay. The next thing we'll do is look at external competition. We want to do a market analysis. So the 7 companies that are found on the salary survey will list benchmark jobs, the number of people associated with those jobs, and the average pay. So we place that information, all that data on an Excel spreadsheet, and then we will adjust for inflation. We adjust for inflation by using a CPI calculator to provide us with the current salary of today. That data will provide us the data of the benchmark jobs, the evaluation points, and the adjusted pay will allow us to begin our pay structure. Once we calculate those numbers, we will be able to predict market pay rate per job and develop pay ranges and pay grades. In Excel, we will utilize the scatter and stock chart and use a statistic method called linear regression equation and trend line. Again, for the internal alignment, this is how I identify the benchmark jobs. I use the roster, the list of jobs of employees, and I follow that criteria that we spoke about. The jobs listed are the IT technician, purchasing agent, shipping clerk, administrative assistant, maintenance worker, assembly line worker, and a machine operator MIG welder. The next thing needed to do is to provide an internal alignment and provide a job evaluation value using a point factor job evaluation form. I'm showing here an example of 2 point factor job evaluation forms, one for a low grade level with a point value of 175 points. That is for the assembly line worker that falls at grade 1. And then I provided you with another example for a high grade level with a point value of 315 for the fabrication operator. The compensable factors on this job evaluation form is knowledge and skill at 40%, effort at 25% for the physical and cognitive, the responsibility at 20% for the effective error and innovation or problem solving, and the working conditions of 15%. And what I did is after reading the job description, I put a value to each one of these jobs. For example, the assembly line worker. I provided them with a level 2 for physical. It isn't a physically heavy job, so they, from the degree of 1 to 4, gave them the lower level number at 2. I take 2, multiply it by 10, and I get 20 points. And I did this for each line for the point factor job evaluation form, and that's how I come up with the numbers. Then we determine our pay policy. We've already discussed that means Nexco wants to lead the market by 5% for non-exempt employees. That means paying 5% above the average pay, mid-pay. The next thing we'll do is an external alignment where we crunch numbers together. And here we want to compare the competitor's pay per job. So in the lower left corner, I show the salary survey. It provides the title, salary conducted on a particular date, and it lists the names of the jobs and the number of people in the job and their average salary. And you have a listing for company A, a listing for company B, and for C. I plug those numbers into an Excel sheet and call it salary data table, and I crunch the numbers. So the first 3 lines you'll have job 1 from job A, job 1 from job B, job 1 from company C. I'm sorry, that's company A, B, and C, the number of employees, their average pay, and then you want to multiply the employee with the average pay for each line. Once you get the total pay, then you want to divide that by the total number of employees, which gives you the weighted average per job. You take that number and you take it over to the Consumer Price Index inflation calculator and plug it in. You designate the month and year, push the button, and the Consumer Price Index calculator would generate a number. So in this case, $35,722 gives you the same buying power that you had with the $34,670 a year prior. This calculates the age-weighted average base pay, and we do this for all of the jobs. This is what it looks like with all the jobs. Again, we are really looking at the age-weighted average base pay. This is the data that's needed to help us make our decisions for a new pay salary. Then we build the base pay structure by combining the job evaluation points and the age-weighted base pay using the regression trend line table. You'll see the y-axis is the salary and the x-axis is the points value. And you'll see a line going through the dots. You'll see some dots above the line, some dots below the line. Each one of those dots is actually, for example, you'll see represents each one of these points. The important regression analysis provides you with a formula that you can use to plug your numbers in. And this helps us to develop the pay grades and ranges. So we have the jobs listing here with the points associated with it and the pay level. You plug those numbers into the formula that you see at the bottom, the y equals 188.27x minus 428.47. And you come up with the average mid-range pay for job 1 at $34,401, job 2 $36,284, all the way down to job 9. Now we know these numbers are good because in the formulation, the formula let us know that there was a 0.95% accuracy rate, so that means the numbers are good to use. Once we get all the numbers down, then we group them in grades. So we look at our job points and pay level. Job 1, 2, and 3 are very similar with points and pay level. So we want to combine them together and call them grade 1. Job 4, job 5, similar in points, 215 and 220. Average those, and then we average the pay rate, which is at $41,344 and $43,047. Call it grade 2. Once we do that, now we want to take 1.05% and add it to the mid-range salary, and that provides us a 5% above mid-pay rate. At the bottom table, now we want to figure out and calculate the ranges, our minimum wage and our maximum wage. So we take 15% and you multiply it by the mid number, and that number that's generated, you take that number and add it to the mid-range, and you will also subtract it from the mid-range, and that's how you create the minimum and maximum pay rate. This is just a stock chart representing the market mid, min, and maximum data. And it shows how the stepping it's just a really good representation, and it shows you what grade 1 and grade 2, grade 3 look like. It's a visual representation. I just wanted to show the relationship of the pay salary with the grade on a chart for visual purposes. For example, if the overlap is too small, you can promote employees to the next grade. If you want to increase their salary, but it's a very high cost to the company. If the overlap is too large, you can promote employees to the next grade level without increasing the salary. However, there is no motivation for the employee because there is no jump in salary. So this is a fine balance. There must be a fine balance where employee motivation can be created with promotion for opportunities while the company has flexibility and cost management. Again, per your request, I have developed a new pay salary framework and provided recommendations. I created pay grade that reflects your organizational strategy. I calculated the midpoint salary using the market average, and I calculated the 5% lead above market line. I determined the range widths varying from 15% to 20%, and I calculated the minimum and maximum pay scale per job role.